Iraqis haven't made a choice for civil war. Iraqis have made a choice for a unified government that can deliver for all Iraqis. And when I say Iraqis, I mean not just their leadership, which clearly has not made a choice for civil war, but their population.
Welcome back to Hardball. That was Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice defending Iraq on Meet the Press on Sunday, I guess, defending our situation in Iraq today. More death and destruction in Iraq from Baghdad to Fallujah throughout the country. Is Iraq facing a civil war? Could be be in the midst of one right now. We're back with Human Events Editor Terry Jeffrey, Washington Post columnist E.J. Dionne, and the Hartford Courant's David Lieberman. David, one of the many, many, many ironies we live in today is that Chris Dodd, the anti-war, dovish senator from Connecticut, is out there stumping all day. I could barely get him on the phone. He owes me a call, by the way, watching, to find out what's going on up there. The very day he's saying the war in Iraq has gone chaotic to civil war, it's the stupidest idea we've ever taken, he's out there defending Joe Lieberman, who thinks it's the best idea we ever had.
And so are a lot of members of Congress. Eleanor Holmes Norton, the delegate from the District of Columbia, was up yesterday. Mayor of Newark, Cory Booker. John Larson, Rosa DeLauro, Congressman John Larson, my goodness, he was against the war way back when. I mean, long before Chris Dodd. Because, again, Lieberman votes with Democrats 90% of the time. Every group that rates these guys, the NAACP, COPE, you name it, gives Lieberman stellar marks. So they feel he's a Democrat, he's been there for them, they're going to be here for him. The intrigue comes if Lieberman loses this thing, where are Dodd and Larson and Norton and the rest of them going to be, and none of them will answer that question.
Well, that is the argument for Joe Lieberman. The argument against Joe Lieberman is that, well, maybe I'll make my argument. I've made it before. We live in a country that's divided, all three, by red and blue states. So your vote rarely counts. I'm blogging on this today. Your vote rarely counts. I mean, if I vote in Maryland, so what? I could vote Democrat, Republican, whatever. It's still going to have the same result. Maryland goes Democrat. You cross the Potomac River in Virginia, it's usually the Republicans win all the Senate races over there and the presidential races, no matter how you vote. All the districts in Congress seem to be gerrymandered because of voting rights or some other reason, or just the way people live in this country. And so you finally have an election where your vote really will count. If you vote for Joe Lieberman, you're sending a message of we can live with a guy who supports the war. You vote for Lamont, you're saying this war is a bad idea from the start. We should vote on that now and say so. David, isn't it a good idea to use your vote to express your deepest belief about the most important issue of your time? The war.
I would think so, if, in fact, that's the most important issue to you. But again, you know, we're out at the plant at Electric Boat this morning, the submarine plant, and people were passionate against the war, but they're also passionate about keeping their jobs, about building more submarines, about keeping a guy like Joe Lieberman, who's on the Senate Armed Services Committee, on the Sea Power Subcommittee, knows how to play the game. And we would say to Ned Lamont, you know, if you got there, you're a rookie senator. Joe Lieberman is there, and the Democrats take control. All of a sudden, he becomes a subcommittee chairman. He has some clout. How do you weigh that? How does a voter weigh that? How does a voter weigh that economic self-interest against his passion against the war? I hate to keep saying I don't know, but that's going to be fascinating tomorrow to talk to people as they come out of the booth and say, what was it that finally drove you in the end?
Okay, talk about democracy in America. We have a representative form of government. We don't have democracy. We have leaders who vote for us. There's the Burkean theory. You vote your brain, your conscience, the hell with the people. You vote what you think is right. Then there's a representative view, which is your job to represent the consensus in your state. Who's right?
You know...
Let me let EJ do that.
Oh, well, I have always liked the Burkean view that you vote your conscience and then the people can vote you out. But I think
but
that
here
when
you vote your
talking
conscience and they call you Uncle Tanous and keep you anyway.
Well, no, but I think David made a really important point, which is for that part of the Connecticut electorate for which the war is the one and only issue, that is the Ned Lamont base. Opposition to the war is the only issue, and he's going to get all those votes. The people David are talking about, remember that old term, cross-pressured voters. Yeah. I think there are a lot of voters who don't like the war, don't like Bush, but for a variety of reasons have this affection for Lieberman. Those are the ones who are up for grabs. And then he's got a lock on that really tiny minority of Democrats who still like the war.
But aren't there a lot of people up there who are middle of the road, say center left, not hard left, but center left, typical Democrats? Are they disabused or disaffected with Joe Lieberman over a number of issues? He's okay on choice if you're pro-choice, but he's been playing this game with Shivo. He's been playing this game with Hollywood. He's been playing this game with Clinton, always trying to be morally superior to the left, right? Aren't they a little tired of that game? Dodge.
In the new
I
Quinnipiac
read this,
poll
Ed.
that showed him down 6 points, the number that interested me the most is Joe Lieberman was only winning by 10 points, 53-43, among Democrats who call themselves moderate and conservative. He should be doing a whole lot better than that if
You know where
he's
he's
going to win
winning?
this race.
Among people under 30K a year.
Right.
What do you say, Terry?
Well, let me put a different angle on your analysis, Chris. Obviously, politicians should vote their conscience and voters should vote their conscience. But if Joe Lieberman loses tomorrow and you have a bunch of Democratic senators who voted for the war in Iraq just like he did, and they go out and support Lamont, who took the opposite position just because Lamont has a D next to their name, are they fighting for their conscience or are they putting their party above conscience? The truth is that 29 Senate Democrats voted exactly like Joe Lieberman did on the Iraq war, and whereas you can look at Joe Lieberman and say, okay, this guy has been morally and logically consistent and statesmanlike, following up on that vote responsibly since. Have other Democrats been as responsible and statesmanlike as he has been?
He hasn't cut.
But has anybody ever heard about new information that, I mean, the more this war goes on, the more you say, wait a minute, this is no good for the country.
I can see that to you.
New information is important.
Someone could come out and say, I voted against the war, it's wrong. I think the best thing for our country, all interests considered, is for us to get out of there now. But most of those Senate Democrats aren't saying. They're bobbing and weaving, trying to finesse the issue.
I got to go back. I like that. I like the bob. We'll pick up on the bob and weave because I hear Hillary. We'll be right back with Terry Jeffrey, E.J. Dion, and David Lightman. You're watching Hardball, only on MSNBC.